So Facebook is on. This one takes 50 years
I
for
know,
some
you
reason.
press that one first.
Now it's on.
And I pressed it first.
Yeah.
And it's, you know.
See, look, see, that's why it went back. I was going to say,
Mm.
because it was trying to say we were live for longer.
But it was live.
So,
And it looks nice and bright
Yeah.
today. So,
Yeah, I feel like that needs to be happening.
which,
the iPad is on
why?
one of the
Push it then and see.
Yeah.
Be careful. Nah, see, I told you.
That might be
Well, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Oh, yeah, but then it chops out that.
Not really. It's all right, because, you know, I think it's better at this end. It seems to be clearer.
That is definitely much clearer.
And this is miles clearer, it's a bit closer
So
in like that.
that needs to be.
That needs to be
the
closer in like that. Right, to the edge even.
Yeah.
This one will.
That one. Okay. Let's have a look.
So, today people thought we'd slept, but they're not on.
I know.
Yeah, probably. What's going on? It's supposed to start.
Nah, some other people. You don't know who. Some other people.
Right.
Is we watching it ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all good. Right then, who's going to start?
Who should train my children? Home versus school.
There's a lot in that actually.
Who should train my children? Once upon a time I believed it was both. I'm realizing that
Nowadays, not sure.
but the schools don't really seem to be doing much teaching nowadays.
Yeah, I think teachers are not what they used to be, and this is part of the problem.
What was we talking about just recently? The kids don't know how to tell the time. So
Yeah, on a what we call a normal clock.
So they're removing
On an analog clock, they're saying that they're going to start removing them from school
And just doing
digital.
because children don't know how to tell the time on an analog clock.
But isn't that what they're at school for?
Well,
The
yeah,
teachers to teach
but the fault is both the school and the parents.
Yeah.
Because you guys couldn't get away with such things at home.
No.
I would be continuously asking you all the time, what time is it?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you used to do. What time is it now? Tell me. And we'd have to read the time.
Yeah,
And also at school, they used to have a lesson on the clock.
On the clock.
And you would have loads of different clocks and you'd have to write what time it was working
Yeah, they're not
out.
doing none of that now.
Yeah, why?
No
For
idea.
what reason? That's rubbish.
See you there.
Yeah.
See, the thing is though, I guarantee once again it will be one of those things today where some people will air this because they'll be like, you know, what do you mean? Who cares? Because they're missing the bigger picture, which we may or may not get onto, which is literally what is happening in society. And obviously we have, this is so-called Black History Month, whatever that's supposed to mean. And we've got a disparity, haven't we? Because you've got what's happening with black children and youth, and then you've got what's happening with white children and youth. There is a crossover, because if you talk about what's going on the road, as I keep telling people, road man is road man, and there's no colour. They're not even.
Yeah.
It's something that people think they understand, and they kind of like think it's a black youth thing,
yeah.
or a black man thing. Man is road man. There's no colour involved in that, but there is an issue behind what they're doing on the road, right? Which maybe we'll get to that, but let's, we'll move up towards that systematically. So when we're talking about schooling now, which, a large percentage of your life, especially when you're a young person, is in school.
Yeah. 5 days a week.
So if you look at youth crime as an issue and talk about the fact there are many young people on the streets who are basically they're knifing each other. So you've got your knife crime, you've got your gun crime, you've got your drug dealing, you've got your drug runners, what they call county lines, where they're basically going in and out from one town and one city and one area to another, drug dealing. So you've got this issue with young people. When I say young people, that's not a black thing or an Asian thing. It's a young people thing, mainly males, but not wholly. Hi, Roy. Good to see you again, man. So it's not only blacks; it's young people. So you're talking blacks, whites, Asians, right? This whole county lines thing. Now I'm just sort of outlining some of the things that are going on. You've got CSE, child sexual exploitation, right? So you've got these things going on the streets. You've got drug dealing, you've got child sexual exploitation, you've got what they call county lines, which is still mainly drug dealing, but it's drug dealing out of area, so from town to town and so forth. Now, our question then is this, quite simply, if we say, well, the family, the parenting is the issue, it might be, and we're going to try and break all of this down bit by bit. There is obviously something to be said about what the parents are saying or doing with their children at home. But then here's the thing: if the schools were not failing these young people, would so many of them be involved in knife crime, gun crime, and drug dealing, child sexual exploitation? Which, yes, they're even child prostitutes. Which then, the schools are also failing then, aren't they? And which means then when we go beyond the schooling system, the government then is failing our young people in that respect. So because these things are happening, and it's not a black thing only, it's a young people's thing, right? Some of the issues in the ends, so to speak, they tend to be of certain ethnicities, and again, they're not all necessarily all black, but they may be many of them from minority ethnic communities. But then the question that I'm saying, what is school doing? Because now you'd send your child to school, that young person, in many cases, at least up until the age of 18, they're supposed to be in school, and they are in school for how many hours a day is it now? Six hours a day.
At least.
At least, and some of them are there for more than that. So here's the thing: what's going on in the school that's causing these young people not to understand life? What's going on in the school that's not training them properly? So they're ending up coming out of school with no manners, no discipline, no respect. They're coming out of school and they already are drug dealing, they're already gang banging. All of this stuff is going on in school while they're supposed to be in school. Now, there are some issues behind that, some answers that
Getting a little bit breezy in it.
Yeah.
I think there's children teaching children now.
Well, there's that, but this is what I'm saying, that who's really taking responsibility for the issue of what's going on? Because you're sending your children to school, as you should, but then they're going to school and they're learning some stuff in school that maybe if they stayed in your yard they wouldn't learn it. And this is part of the problem. And then then what's happening also, particularly with those children who the teachers feel like they can't control, whatever that may mean, instead of them now dealing with them another way, they exclude them. So they kick them out of the class. Sometimes more than just kicking them out of the class, they kick them out of the school. So they end up sending them home, and then they're not at home, they're on the road. So you see, this is where now the problem begins. Or they're busy isolated, so they're not actually learning anything in school. They're just chilling.
They're just there. Getting
You know?
Yeah.
So hence the question. And those who are listening, please do join in and chime in with whatever you want to say, what you think. You know? So that leads us to the question: who's supposed to be training these children and young people? And when and if they have gone astray, whose responsibility is it to try and pull them back to the right direction? And like I said, you know, our 1 month of so-called history for we black people, Black History Month. Well, first of all, bun that,
You already know.
right? Straight up, bun that about Black History Month, right? First of all, here's one of the things that we should talk about then, being as they have designated it to us as our History Month. First of all, they don't teach our history.
No.
What they're teaching is what they feel like, and this is also one of the issues with the schooling, right? Because from my days, and if it's different now, you guys who are younger than me and some who have younger children in school or who are still might be in school or college, correct me if I'm wrong. But from my days, when we're learning history, we're learning Tudors and Stuarts, right? The Yorkies, all white people who don't have nothing to do with me. None of my people were in this country at that time. Queen Victoria and all of them people. Me no business about them. Really and truly, me no business with them though. I don't really care, right? Because they're not my people. That's not my history. But that's the history that we had to learn. Then now, because I was a bit of an egghead, if you like, in school, I decided to go and learn Greek and Roman history. It was not taught mainstream. So I had to go to school before school, right? To go and learn those things. I had to go and learn them at I don't know what time, 7:30 in the morning, and all them kind of things, right? And that's where I learned about the Roman and the Greek history. Still not maybe necessarily my history, but it was a bit more interesting and a little bit more diversified than learning about the Tudors and the Stuarts and the and them people.
King and Queen was doing what?
Right?
I don't care.
And then when you look at that history that you were given, you know, and taught about, it was skewed in a certain direction.
It was.
So now you've got young people sitting there in school, and they're learning these things in school, and they're sitting there, particularly black ones, let's say, and they're saying, well, where do I fit into this? This is nothing about me. It's not my identity. I'm not even here.
Yeah.
So some of them will tune out.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. They're tuning out because they're saying, this is not about me. It's not about my people. It doesn't tell me anything about who I am, where I came from, or any of what it does tell me is negative.
Yes.
Because what usually happens, the narrative begins at slavery.
Yes.
So the only history that we are told about, Black History Month, is all about slavery.
Yeah, because that's
right.
What's happening.
So they start telling you, oh, Black History Month, we want to talk about the slave trade and tell you about what happened in the transatlantic slave trade, blah, 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 blah.
Rosa Parks.
Yeah, that's what they like to add in.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just because she sat on the bus.
Yeah.
No one cares.
She wasn't even the first one to do that.
No, she wasn't. She wasn't even the first.
So again,
it's because she was light.
They whitewashed her story.
So they thought, yes,
they whitewashed
now the one to
story.
Because more white people will be accepting of her.
That's exactly what it was.
That's exactly what that Rosa Parks was. So the first woman that did it was a dark-skinned black woman.
Yeah, and she was young and pregnant.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, you see. We're at a stage now where people are having to learn to school themselves.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, even from my day, I'm looking at my day in school, and I'm looking and thinking, where did I identify with any of what they were teaching me, especially about those kind of things. Even some of the things that they did teach you, they twisted it. Like, for instance, they mentioned a little bit in school history about Jacobeans. Right? And the Jacobeans were black people, if you didn't know. And if you don't know, go and Google or go and look on some other search engine. DuckDuckGo might give you some better information. But go and check out the Jacobeans and see, and even the architecture and things that they did. in this country, Jacobean architecture, those were black people, right? But these are the things, see, they don't even know that, right? They don't even know that, and they've left school a long time ago, right? And when they mentioned even those things in school, they didn't tell you that they were black people.
No.
You see? So it was made to look like, oh, the only black people that we could know about, at least in my terms of what I got out of school, those black people, they came through slavery, and that's why they ended up in the Caribbean, which is a lie, because black people were already in the Caribbean before lying Columbus went there. Black people were already in America before lying Columbus went there. Black people were already in Europe before they brought them as slaves, because in fact they took the first slaves from Europe and took them as slaves and took them to the Caribbean, to the Spanish Caribbean. We talked about that before anyway. But this is what I'm saying. None of those things were talked about in school. Not in my time, not in her time, not in her time. And maybe, and probably still not even now. So that's what I'm saying. So what is it? So even when it comes to home training, so to speak, because home training is about your identity. You see,
I think so, black people, we have to anyway.
You have to.
It's not optional.
Yeah, it's not optional, because when
they're not teaching it at school anyway.
What I mean.
So as black people, if we're not doing it at home, our children are
they're not going to know
about who they are.
They're not going to know.
I'll take it to my experience of going to a school where majority was white. There was only about one black teacher at a time. No, actually, there was one black teacher that stayed the whole time. This woman. That's all I have to say about her. Yeah. And then the other black teachers, there would only ever be one other at a time, and they'd always go because they didn't want to stay at that place because everyone was racist. You know what I mean? So I had to go to that school, and then when we're learning about slavery or there's something, everything that they were showing about black people was always negative. They never showed us anything positive, ever. And then when they're showing it on the class, then everybody's looking at you, looking behind, right? And one time I got in trouble because I shouted and said, "Stop looking at me." Then the teachers, are you all right? Do you need a minute? And I'm like, no, I don't need no minute. I just don't want people staring at me just because this is all they know. This is what they think I am. I'm some slave descendant in the class. Yeah, I'm just some slave.
You're the token who everybody's looking at.
Yeah.
I see Roy said there, training of children is both. However, I believe it's primarily the responsibility of the parent.
Yeah.
Of course, we agree. But now here's my twist on that, and this is what the problem is, that we have got parents who, I would say, they renege on their responsibility. So what happens then? If you imagine that most children, up until they go to school, so by the time when they're small and they're at home, they don't have an issue of identity. Maybe I'm talking more black people now, by the way. They don't have an identity issue whatsoever.
They don't care what,
right?
Anything like.
When they go maybe to nursery, they may still not have an identity issue depending on where they go for nursery. Let's take, for instance, let me give an example of a child who would go to a nursery where they've got, teachers and people who look like them, same color as them, etc. They don't have an issue of identity, and generally it's quite well balanced. What happens now is when they get into mainstream school, and then now they start learning what the system, because this is where the problem comes, is when you get now to start learning what the system wants you to learn. And when you've got parents who just send their children to school, whatever they learn in school, maybe those parents, they don't even read those books with the children, because so they're not looking at their homework. Oh, what are you learning about in history? And sit and have a discussion with the child and say, no, that's not right, because actually that's incorrect about us as a people. Or say, yes, that was part of our history, but here's the other bit that's missing that the school isn't teaching you. Because what ends up happening then is that, and it happens more especially with the black males than the females, they end up with an identity crisis. Somewhere along when they get to teenage years, and it's obvious because teenagers are not really that nice anyway, as we know. you know, because they're teenagers.
Yeah.
So whether they're male or female, they can be an issue. But what happens now is that the school is now telling them, well, you don't belong.
Yeah.
And they're wondering, well, how is it that I don't belong and I was born here?
Yeah.
And maybe even their mum and dad were born here.
Yeah.
Maybe even their grandparents were born here. But we're all black. And they're telling, oh, black people are your slaves. And that's about all they give them. And then even they always show a separate, oh, you're disruptive, get out of my class. You understand?
So
it's all,
different,
all this kind of
different
thing that slowly creeps in. And then when you don't have parents who affirm their children at home and say, look, okay, let's talk about what happened. Why did you get pushed out of the class? And let's have a discussion. Say, okay, son or daughter, you were not wrong. You expressed your opinion. The teacher didn't like it, and so you give them some sort of rational understanding. But otherwise, oh, I'm bad anyway, because that's what the teachers think. The whole school thinks I'm bad, and everything I say or do, they're going to push me out.
Yeah. Nothing I do.
You know, and there are many boys, particularly, that fall into that because the parents themselves also are not doing anything. They're not working with them. They're not supporting them. So, you know. Okay. We should say. Yeah, the red one. Mostly should be home. Children have different temperament. Understanding this helps them. Oh well, that's right, because that's exactly what I'm saying, Julie. That in the school, the teachers don't want to understand that or accept that. So part of the thing, let's say if we take us with our Jamaican nature, we know we're compared with some, they're going to say we're louder and more, you know, we talk with our hands and all these type of things, and you know, so we're aggressive and so you know, and because we like to talk back, you see, we don't want to just sit there and we like to defend ourselves where we know that we have our rights to defend. They don't want you to do that. And you see, it's not only because they're saying, well, as a child, you have manners and respect. No, because I don't believe there are too many more races, if you want to call it a race or cultures. Let's say, I don't believe there are too many more cultures than the Jamaican one where we require manners and discipline from our children. But the manners and discipline that we require from our children is not really the issue. Because there are, like I said, there are some parents who don't bother. But where they do bother, that is not the issue in the school. Because when they're at home, there's no children where the parents are right in the house where they can just look at their mum or dad in their face and tell them what? Or tell them shut up. Or no, I don't want to. Which house of Jamaican people do you know? I'm saying where the parents are right. Because we know there's some where they're wrong in the house. But where they're right, they can't do that. They can't do that. Because even my grandchild, when she comes even to my house and she comes with her mother, I'm cool, but it's my house. But if I hear her, how I would say, push up herself too far, I have to talk, because that can't happen in my house. So manners and discipline for us is not the issue. But you see, where we're stuck now is the difference of how they're being treated in school, where they're feeling like they're almost treated like they're not a person.
Yeah.
You see?
That's the
And this is the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an issue. You're a problem child. And maybe at home they're not.
Categorize it in families.
Yeah.
So if you have had, that was like for me and Zakai,
Yeah,
if you have had issues with the teachers or the, you know what I mean, in the school, then as soon as your sibling comes in, they're onto them.
They expect the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're just like your sister, or you're just like
your cousin or whoever.
Yeah. And my friend, she said, remember when we were on the phone, she said the same thing. Just because her older sister and cousin went to the school, and they were also people who weren't taking no rubbish from the teachers. Then when she's got the same thing, that every little thing she's doing, isolation, this and that, So then by the time her younger sister, who's Zakai's age, wanting to go to school. They didn't send her there. They just sent her to a next place.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, because they said they're not doing it.
Yes, yes. Where is he?
Yeah.
Glad your son doesn't have your surname. I get it. I get
It's
it.
true,
I
because
get
they
it.
Really, what's the word? They judge you
Yeah.
based on, you know, how other people in your family, how other people in your family have,
how they've acted in school,
Yeah.
or how the school has treated them.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, because it's not even a one-sided issue.
No, it's not.
And this is the thing that then people are then wondering. Oh, we see many black boys on the streets. Hey, this thing here behind me is blowing some breeze in my head, but or switch off the fan. Yeah. So they're wondering. Treat my hair, you know.
That's why it's too fresh.
But you know, they're wondering, oh, why some of these youth so angry on the streets and all of this,
Yeah.
right? And then it's easy for them to point the finger at the family and say, oh, you see, oh, there's something going wrong in the family and in the household.
Yeah, because
It's not really always like
this
that.
was always the thing. There's something going on at home. And I remember my friend, she used to make me laugh because she said she can't stand when they ask that question. And she said that she felt like saying to them every single time, no, I want to be at home. I don't want to be here. The problem is here. It's not at home.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's true though. 90% of the time they know that.
90% of the time it's not actually no problem.
They
at
know
home
that
when
they are the problem.
When it's a real problem at home, they're not asking them questions.
And you
You
see,
know what I mean?
exactly. And you see, here's the thing, right? Because I'm going to keep on saying it, and maybe I'm what's that?
Rainbow.
Outside.
And maybe I'm saying it with a little bit of sarcasm, right? Black History Month, right? But here's the thing. I'm going to keep pushing this little thing that I'm saying on purpose because I'm saying it with sarcasm. Because if you ask averagely a black person and a white person who went to the same school for the same amount of time, the two of them have had a totally different experience in that school.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm talking from my era to Angelica's era, which was different again, to Tamar's era, which was different again. And all of them have had a different experience in school. These are both my daughters, and they've had roughly the same experience in terms of upbringing. And even mine is roughly the same as theirs, maybe a bit worse, a bit more harsh than how theirs was. I mean, in terms of mum and dad at home, but not harsh in a negative sense, right? So they come, all of us are coming from the same type of background. But now when you go to school, we can now talk about how many negative experiences we have had in school. You may now pick a white child who's gone to the same school, maybe been in all the same classes, and they've had a totally different experience.
School was so great. I loved it.
And so what you were meant to get out of school, in the time that you were in there, for however many years you were in that school, and what you were meant to get out of that school, you didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, you came out angry, you came out pissed off. Why did I even have to go to that school?
Yeah.
Why did I even go to school any at all?
No, that was what I always said
You know?
to you and mum, 24/7.
There you
Why
go.
do I have to go to that school? I hate it.
And many of the boys, for them, it's even worse. So by the time now when they tell them, you're 14, 15 now, we don't want you in this school,
Yeah,
we're
get
excluding you.
out now.
They're like, nice one, see you later.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to get back into any other school either,
Yeah.
right? Because already the next one, you don't want me either.
Or they send you to that little
You know,
special
school, and you call
College.
and you label me as a problem
Yeah.
anyway, and so you treat me like a problem. You don't treat me like everybody else. And this already it's a setup
Yeah.
for society.
It is.
So then you're having a different experience, and then what they do, they say, oh well, it must be the parenting.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of the
There
time,
must be something,
you know, it's not always. And yes, we will talk about those parents who do walk around with their eyes closed and don't watch what their children do, and we know there are many of them
Yeah.
who bury their heads in the sand. My son is the greatest. My daughter is the greatest, and we know it's a lie. But a lot of it, it's not because of that. You know, that the angry black man syndrome, the angry black woman syndrome, a lot of it comes from the school system. And it is a system, right? Because a lot of what you go through in school, it does nothing.
Yeah.
It's not teaching you
It's
anything.
not teaching me anything. You think I've used Pythagoras?
No,
You know,
don't
last
even
time I got
start
told,
me on
think
that
I've
one.
used mean range.
And never mind even the actual
I
subject.
bust them up about that every
Never mind even the actual subject, but the style of teaching.
Yeah.
The style of teaching, the style of interaction of many of the teachers with the pupils, and particularly those from black and other minority
Yeah.
ethnicities, is negative,
The whole conversation.
right?
collapsed completely.
And it doesn't teach you anything. Oh, part of what they say in school, we're raising them to be productive members of society. No, it does not. The average way that you treat most black people in school doesn't raise them up to do jack all. Right? It doesn't. It does not. If I went only by my schooling, I wouldn't have anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have anything. I could go all the way back to primary school, you know. Even no, in fact, I could go back even to infant school. They're taking my shoes away because I've kicked whoever I've kicked. But them who kicked me, they're still wearing theirs. All these type of things.
You needed to learn how to not waste money.
Yeah, but it's true. Practical
Because
things.
they're not teaching
How
them
to get a
things.
mortgage,
Money management and how to
things.
manage your finances. Trigonometry and Pythagoras theorem is not helping you.
They're not happy with nothing.
Even when they used to teach you, oh yeah, you do cooking, right? Catering and hospitality.
When you're
You only
cooking
get
white
to
man's
do it-
food.
Yeah, and you only get to do it for like 2 months
Yeah, I
as a
remember
little
that.
taster, and then you have to choose to do catering if you want to learn more cooking.
Yeah.
I'm not doing no catering.
And I remember one time they did this the cookery. This was, and they said, but they're cooking curry, right? So then they're cooking curry and putting raisins. I told them, move from around here. I said, which kind of curry? I said, what's that? So me, I told them I'm not doing. Oh, you're disruptive. I said, no, I am not, because you people don't know how to cook curry. You're cooking an Englishman version of curry and telling people this is curry and this is the way it must be made and all of this. No, rubbish. Rubbish. Right?
Times I used to be there putting extra.
Yeah.
Even the
Show you them little things where you have to put it in.
Yeah,
like,
those little
what's that in the
measure
seasoning,
things
man?
like
Ah.
this. And then people would actually be there putting it in and then
Level it off.
scraping off,
Scraping off the top and all
leveling
this.
off the top. And all
No,
that.
no,
stick
no,
it from the
no, no.
container.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with cooking diversity of food.
No.
But if you're going to cook it authentically,
Yeah.
or shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Because once again, this is also the same thing, that they're not looking at you as if you have any identity.
Yeah.
So the only identity that comes out in the school is the white man's
Yeah,
identity.
that's the only one that you
So,
must conform.
You as a
and
black
that's
person,
it.
when you're going to school
Yeah.
in the UK in particular, unless you are coconut or you fit the white man's agenda, you become a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because
that's the truth.
When you
Yeah.
try to behave like who you are in your family, who you are as a Caribbean, who you are as a black man,
Yeah.
it is a problem,
Yeah.
right? And this is why I've said now, what we're looking at is the reason why then, especially like for our young men, there comes an issue then when they're now on the road, as it were, as roadman, why they're vexed
Yeah.
and why they're deliberately behaving the way they are and saying, yeah, all right, ooh, what? I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's
No, you can't tell me nothing.
a lot of it has to do with the schooling. It doesn't even have to do so much with family.
Because from school, when they're getting forced to do things for no good reason, except that clearly they're black. Because, that was like in school when girls would come in. I think I said already about hair.
Mm.
And then the white girls with bright pink hair
No
or bright
problem.
red hair, nothing. No issue. They're not calling them. They're not saying nothing. Yeah, a black girl comes in and she's got red in her braids. Now it's a problem and she must take it out immediately and all these kind of things. These are the things. This is
Oh, yeah.
exactly it.
And it's never changed.
And it hasn't changed.
From my day, it was the same thing. When I was a teenager, I went to school with my hair in plaits, and they're making up noise, blah 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 blah. So I had to get my parents involved in it because I refused to take out the plaits.
Yeah.
Said no, I'm not taking them out because it was neat. It wasn't troubling anybody. But you have to have your hair like this and have to have your hair like that.
And
I saw
my hair is not like that.
and I saw even the other day there in Jamaica.
Oh, don't, because I saw that.
Jamaica.
Yeah,
They said that the children can't go to school with dreadlocks, right? So if you're a Rasta and you come from Rasta family, or if you choose to have locks for whatever reason, you're not supposed to go to school. They want to send them out.
That warrior.
Idiot Andrew Holness,
Yes.
right? Who's just might as well come live in England,
He's an Oreo.
right? Because why? Why?
are you doing that?
And then they're telling them that. And here's the joke, and somebody said, and it's a fact. They said they're telling them, no, you mustn't have your hair like that because blah blah blah. Then you go to the court, and the judges and those in the chambers, they're wearing what the white people wear over here. Those maybe know you call that something. That curly looking white wig thing, and all them things that they're wearing. They look like idiots. Because does it make them practice the law better when they're wearing that?
No.
I don't think it does.
What is that? That's just some sort
Right? It's colonialism, it's a tradition. They're following that, and then that's why they're telling their own black people, you're not allowed to wear your hair. So then they're fighting people over even wearing their hair naturally. You see? Now this is what I'm saying about the difference between what's going on at home and what's going on in school. And then always the school, it's like the schools are almost like always fighting against the home. It's like a battle.
Like they want to have the right to tell your child what
They want to control,
so
every
they
aspect.
full control over your child.
And when they're not being controlled, then it becomes a problem. Then when they're calling the parents into school, it's as if they want to call the parents in so that they could reprimand them too.
That's what I believe.
They want to tell you off. You
them.
must agree with us. This is the way your child must be. Your child must be looked after this way. Your child must be disciplined this way. They must be forced into believing things this way. And they must be under our thumb this way.
Yeah.
None of that, mate.
See?
That's exactly it. That's what they want.
You know the amount of times I've had to say at that school, you want me to tell her off about that, it's not gonna happen.
But this is the thing, because that's what they do. That's the main reason why.
Because I don't see the same issues that they see.
That's what I'm saying.
So
they love to do that, to do this. Oh, they love to threaten me all the time with their calling home. But then they never liked my answer, because my answer was call them. Get calling and call my dad.
And she'd be busy telling them, call my dad.
Yeah, call my dad.
Because me, I have a different conversation from them than the mother. They didn't want mine.
Yeah, but that's why nobody's not calling anybody now.
That's what I'm saying. They don't want it called granddad. Yeah, you see, and that's the thing. As soon as then after dad came, I don't know, maybe like months or something, then they never wanted to call him, and they never were. You would have to say about call my dad. I don't want to have this conversation anymore. Just call my dad, please, and we'll discuss it then. But they never wanted to. They just keep you in isolation, slyly, or keep you in detention. But once again, that didn't work all the time, because if dad was collecting me, there weren't no detention.
No detention. Because me, I'd go directly to wherever they were and tell them come out.
Yeah. We'll get the school to call of the little.
Yeah, if they didn't, I tell them, can you tell them to come now?
Yeah. Chambers, can you please come to the reception? And I just be thinking, praise the Lord, I'm out here, mate. And up there getting my bag and going. And then I never came back, of course. But then they knew.
No, I told them I'm not interested in your detention. They're going home.
Yeah, for foolishness, always. That's what it was. Yeah, for foolishness. And then our detention is to make us write lines.
Yeah, they didn't used to do that. They did a little piece of paper telling you you've got to detention after school. I used to just screw them up and dash them in the bin. I'm not staying.
They didn't even
Do you know
do
then they
that.
started sending them
it back to the house. That's
Yeah.
what they used to do.
Sending it to the house in church. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because nobody was home to collect the post either. So,
So you
again,
collected
they
it,
were still
And
getting
they're going
down
dust
in
in the dustbin.
Yeah, because I
Where
wouldn't
they belong.
mind, right?
Yeah.
But when I was actually rude or anything like that, and I got punished, I wasn't saying, "Oh, ring my dad," because I knew I was
Because
in
you
the
knew
wrong.
you were in the wrong.
Yeah, but when it's
When it's foolishness,
injustice,
yeah.
that's a different
And
story.
this is the really part of the issue, isn't it? Because
Can't keep quiet.
they're acting as if you don't know.
What
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so they're
it
acting
is.
as if you don't know what's right and wrong. So you just behave in any old fashion because you're just behaving. You're a little black savage.
Yeah.
And this is part of the problem now,
Yeah.
because we know that there are some people, whether they're black or white or whatever, who are like that.
Yeah.
And so those are the ones, you know, when you hear that state, oh, they don't have any home training. This is what we say, what they're referring to. We're talking about those ones who, you know, if their parents will call them, it's the what?
Yeah.
You know, all this or no. No. Nobody in my family who came from my body can speak to me like that. Not even today, even in the age that they are now. They cannot. No, they can't. I'm sorry, they can't. Because I never spoke to my mother or my father like that at any time. Never would. And even now they've passed and they've gone, so that's it. And these, if they want to die before me, right, then carry on. No. It doesn't happen. Children or grandchildren, no. Male or female, no. So for me, we know what home training is in that respect. Now, let me give you a very, very good example, right? Zakai, my son Zakai, he is 19 years old and he is currently in prison for drug dealing, right? And some of you already know this, and I speak about it plainly and openly, and some people are like, woo. I'm like, well, yeah, woo yourself, right? Because that's where he is, right? And even him, if he's vexed about me talking about it, I don't care, right? Because he can't beat me. Simple as that. And I didn't send him there. He sent himself there. But this is my point. Do you want to ask me, is he there because of lack of home training? Because please ask me if you want to. Because I can tell you how all of that goes. Even the fact that there are some things that I would say where his mother had shielded him in areas where she should have not. And that didn't help. But even notwithstanding that, did he have good home training or not? The answer is absolutely yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
He had good home training. He knows right from wrong. He knows everything. Angelica, his sister, said it's hard. It is partly that, but it's not only that. The other side of it is the angry black youth that came out of him. And why is there an angry black youth in him? Because of school. Because of the school system. Because of how they treated him in school. And that had nothing to do with me. And even when he was in school and he was telling them, oh, you don't like the way I'm behaving or what, call my dad and let him come. They refused. They refused because they didn't want him to have any support.
Yeah.
Because that's not what they were trying to break his spirit.
Even I remember at one point they tried to say, oh, you Zakai to be moved from my form, because forms used to work differently at my school, where you had all the years in the form, and it was more done on family basis. So if you had cousins or sisters and brothers who were in the same form,
which actually is a good idea.
It's a better idea. They're then trying to say, oh, Zakai must be moved from the form. I told them, no, he's not. He's staying in the same one as me. Yeah, when he
because he's a younger brother.
He will be in this one. I'm not happy. Why should it be that everybody else's brothers and sisters can be with them, but then Zakai must be in the next form because he's causing too much disruption. He wasn't even bad. He all he used to do was play cards and things like that. But no, he's causing this because they used to get excited, didn't it? But he wasn't even the only one.
Make noise.
No, of course.
That's the funniest
They
thing.
did the same to Daryl. He didn't even make it to year 8 in high school.
This is the thing.
But this, you know, this is the same.
Nine.
That the same thing. And even in my time, at 14 years old, I don't know what year that would be. What year?
Nine.
The same story.
Yeah, year 9.
Excluded from school.
Yeah.
And here the joke of it, my time is a long, long time ago, different than even Daryl, my eldest son, or Zakai, my youngest son. But yet, even in my time in school, here the joke. When they decided to exclude me, and it was meant to be on a permanent basis, but it eventually got overturned because my dad went crazy, right? But listen, here's the joke. I'm in school, just like everybody else. We're doing whatever we're doing in class. And as you know, kids are kids. Boys, girls, black, white, whatever, they're rude sometimes. So people were in there doing whatever they're doing. These two white boys were there busy tormenting me from behind. So me, in my school days, I had a joke with people. I just turned around and I said, okay. I said, I've got nothing to say while we're in the class. Right? I said, but when the class is finished, you're dead. Right? Now, obviously, I don't really mean that they're literally, you know. But, you know, that's teenager talk, isn't it? You're dead. Right? So I've said that, and the teacher heard me, and the teacher told me shut up. And I did shut up. But that teacher, anyway, he wasn't too bad. He was watching them as well, and they're still there behind. And you know, my day was not like now. So he came up to them with a big book and he clapped two of them in their head with the book. Boof, boof, shut up. So that was it for a while. Then they kept quiet. Then they were still there when he wasn't looking, carrying on. So obviously, because I already told them when the class is finished, you're dead. I carried out my, what would you call it? My threat.
Yeah, threat. Yeah.
So when the class finished, I shot out of the class, and we got into a little scuffle out there. You know, well, anyway, I'm not giving you the details. We got into a little thing out there, and one of them, you know, the wall hit one of them, you know, in the head. So, so now, as a result, you know, because now they're seeing now, because then basically, and I'm not gonna lie, I have had, you know, a bad temper, but it was 2 against 1.
Yeah.
Right? It's not my fault that the wall helped me. You know,
so they shouldn't be mouthing if they can't back it.
So I'm saying, so now I looked at, John Chambers is the aggressive. So it was all on me. So I'm sent off, and I'm the one who, right? So I got the big punishment, and they didn't get anything, and they're both white. Yeah. So let's have it right, and let's put it in its perspective. They were white, and obviously I'm not. Yeah. Right?
And what's the outcome?
I'm kicked out of school.
Yeah, indefinitely.
You see? Yeah. Right? So then my dad is asking me what's going on. Right? And they had me out of school for ages with some big old long investigation, and I don't know
that's what they do.
You know? So my dad is there. He said, well, he's not having it. He said he wants to speak to the headmaster. Because, you know, this was being dealt with the head of year and then the head of lower school and all this. My dad said he's not interested in them. So he doesn't want to talk to them. He wants to speak to the headmaster only. So that he had to go to that level, and he said, and he's taking it beyond that. He wants to go to the school board, right? You know, the governors.
Yeah, the governors.
Because he's not having it. It's one-sided, and he's not saying that I'm not rude or whatever. But no. And what about the others?
Yeah, what about
So now, because they knew that they had dealt with it the way they did, they couldn't permanently exclude me. So then I was allowed to come back to school after some long length of time. Now here's the point that I'm making. After all that, in that long length of time, was I doing any schooling? No. Were they sending me any lessons? No. When I went back to school after that long length of time, did I go back smiling and happy? No. So you've got to understand, the teachers, when they saw me come back, were they happy to see me come back? No. So you see, and there I am, a black teenager in school, and the school is shaping my life. Shaping me into what and how?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because this is what I'm saying, that for those young people who are in school, who don't have supportive families, or who have families that maybe don't understand how to navigate the system, what happens to them? And then when it goes wrong, they come out an angry young black man, an angry young black woman who's on the road, and they're well, let me just do what I'm doing then because that's what they think of me. Who gets the blame? You see, what kind of family background did they come from?
Yeah, but the dad's not there.
You see,
That's the way
Zakai is in prison right now, and none of those things don't fit his picture.
No.
Zakai has been spoiled by me. He's been spoiled by his mother. He's been spoiled by his stepmother, right? He's been spoiled by his other siblings, right? Zakai, I have been around all, he didn't have no absent mother, no absent father, right? Extended family were there, grandmother, everybody, aunties, everybody. Zakai was no, but his problem and his issue with his identity in society, from school and from road.
Yeah.
And so he took his own identity on the road with a gang.
Yeah.
You see? Now,
That's the school treated it.
exactly, and that's the elephant in the room that we don't want to talk about, especially we black families. Because we don't know how to address it, and because there's even a failure amongst us of how to start addressing that as it is now.
Yeah.
Because it's still there. You see? And when you try then even to point the finger and say, look, what about, no, they don't have no home training. Home training is not always the issue.
No.
Sometimes it's the training of the school, which has been negative training, which has then made them rebel.
Yeah, from the home.
You see?
Training.
They've rebelled from every form of training.
Yeah.
And then it's the family that has to pick up the pieces. Because the school teachers would have nothing to do with it. Kick them out of school now, so it's nothing to do with us. After you've messed them up in their head, messed them up emotionally and psychologically, then you kick them out of school.
Yeah.
But apparently it's meant to do
You see?
Because even when Zakai was kicked out of school, which was, what did he even get kicked out? The fact that I can't remember already tells me
It was foolishness.
Like it was a load of rubbish.
Yeah, Roy, it's true.
Yes, it is.
This is what I mean.
It's
and that's the
huge.
thing. Because there was many a times when there was situations where if I wasn't there, I don't know what they would have been doing. Do you know what I mean? Many times where something would happen and it wasn't Zakai's fault, but it was their fault, and I would have to come and say no.
Yeah.
I mean, Zakai's not getting the blame for
The
this.
short period of time that Nara was there.
Yeah, because even one time we were walking, I remember, to form. And of course, because like I said, we were in the same form, sometimes my class, the way I walk, I could collect him from his class and then we walk together. So I've collected him from his class and he's chatting to his little friends there. You know, at this point, they were all about 2 foot tall. He's talking to his little friends there. Yeah, and then I'm just waiting at the side. And then this little idiot white boy, yeah, I can't remember. He was a fool. He's come now, yeah, like this, coming down because he's got some problem with Zakai, and then
A little
chatting some crap, and I'm like, Zakai, what's the issue? And Zakai was like, I don't know. Like saying you don't know what's wrong with the guy. Yeah, but apparently Zakai had said something or something like that. So then the guy has then tried to get up in Zakai's face. So I pushed him away like that and said, move back, you're not fighting him, move. Then my man pushed Zakai, yeah, and he's fallen over. So of course now Zakai's vexed. Yeah, then my friend has had to hold Zakai back and I've had to push the boy, yeah, basically on the floor. Then the teacher's now coming. What's she saying? Tamar and Zakai, get in my office now. No. Why is it always you? You lot are always causing problems. Blah blah
Listen
blah.
to this.
See the rubbish? They haven't even
They
asked.
don't. Yeah. And this is the same thing from even my day. There's no questions asked
No.
because it must be you. And then the boy there, they're not asking him anything.
Nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
And this thing is that this spills over into society. You understand? Let me give you a personal example, and this is not school, this is personal example. I was now, what would I have been at that time? 22 years old. So that's, a while ago. It was last week, So I was 22 years old, and I was working as a prison officer. So there was a prisoner who knew that I knew his people, and he didn't like that I was supporting his people, some of these people who were out of prison. So now his one of his friends knew where I lived, and he told his friend to mash my car windscreen. So the guy came past, right, and it was inside the gates, so he had to come in a bit, you know.
Yeah.
So the guy came in with a brick, and he couldn't just, you know, so he had to like, yeah. So he did that, and then of course the alarm went off, so he ran off. So now this is the thing that you know there is for us. There's a little old white man that sat across on the other side of the street, and he always sat in his window with his chair in the window, right?
But conveniently, this
So,
one incident.
all I know, so he's always there facing the window. And when I say facing, I mean the man is always watching everybody hard, right? He is BBC CCTV.
Yeah.
So he's always sat in the window. Now, all of a sudden, right, after the alarm goes off and I look across the road, my man's not in his chair. So I said, oh, anyway.
Yeah, of course.
So I've seen the guy run off up the road. I've seen him run up the road, and he's now trying to back up his jacket in case if I'm, you know, for the jacket. So I got in the car and I drove up the road, and of course he can't run faster than the car. So I drove up the road and I drove right across where he was and blocked him off. Right? Got somebody to call the police, grabbed the guy. I'll leave out certain parts. Anyway, and so we so we
had to wrestle him.
So we were on, I'm leaving out certain parts. We were on the floor, right? So I said, tell them it's Mr. Chambers, bloody blah. So anyway, all I know. So when the police turn up, right, and they're seeing me, I'm holding this guy down on the floor. Along comes the police, and they're grabbing me, right? So I started laughing at them, and the guy was trying to like, because they grabbed me first. He thought he was going to get away. So I said, hey, I said, unless you're mad, I said, you better not let him move. So then they've like kind of held, but they were trying almost to, you know, not hold him.
Marissa said she needs the full story to get the thing.
Nah, shut up. I've given you enough details already. So they've held this guy as well now, and they're like, oh, so, and then they looked to the white guy. Oh, Mr. Chambers. I said, really? I said, no, he's not. I am Mr. Chambers. I said, yeah. I said, so off you go with him, then arrest him and take him.
Yeah.
The funniest thing.
Right? But of course, automatically,
it must be you.
I'm the aggressive black man. It must be me. You see, and this is always the thing. And Chambers anyway is that's not a black man's surname. So of course you can't mind. You know, that's a Welsh and Scottish surname, isn't it? So they're like, oh. So they thought, oh, Mr. Chambers, it must be, and I must be. So I must be the one. Not to mention, of course, that they're not expecting me to own that particular car that I had as well. Of course not. So that's all part and parcel. But this is what I'm saying. And this is this. Now, you see, what people have to understand is that, okay, I'm 22 and I'm experiencing that, but it wasn't anything new.
Yeah.
Because I went through that in my school days, all the way through school. So it wasn't anything new. So now you've got these teachers telling you, oh, we're shaping young people's destiny. You're shaping a negative destiny for black people in school.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Feel like they don't belong.
Making us feel like we don't belong to this country. We're not on the same level. We don't know where we came from. We don't know our identity. We don't know our history. And then we don't know our future.
because they're
But it's,
removing it.
never their fault.
They're
for any
not
them
teaching
things.
us any of
All
those
of that,
things.
according to them, is our own problems and our own fault. That's why
Also, it's
anytime
our
there's
fault
an
that they
issue,
adopted the history books.
yeah, according to them, it's all our fault. So they only know about slavery and anything else.
There's nothing else
nothing
matters.
else that matters.
So black people only began at slavery,
Mm.
and
and that's all that matters to them.
Yeah.
So
and
they
then Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King Jr. was a coconut anyway.
Exactly.
Of course.
And let's not even get into that right
No,
now.
we already talked about
That's
this.
a whole
When they
next
tried to
thing.
use him as an example of a peaceful protest, and they still killed him anyway.
We'll
So let's
get
just
into
leave
that some other time, but no.
That's
No,
another
I mean,
thing
everyone
to
got into
own
that.
it, like, right?
No,
My little bounty.
no,
Yeah.
no.
And that's what I mean.
He was
This
he
is
was
the
a
thing.
token that they used,
Yeah, of course.
and they
That's
used
why
him.
they
That's
didn't
why
want
they
him.
that's why they didn't want Malcolm X.
Exactly that.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Never mind though. They yes no, but you know because he wasn't a Christian.
radical.
No.
Get away from me.
No one
It ain't got
did
nothing to do with him being Nation
No,
of
about
Islam.
Martin Luther King.
You didn't like his
Respect
mouth.
Nixon, you know about Rosa Parks.
Yeah,
You know
that's exactly it.
they did not like his mouth. That was what the problem was.
They didn't like what he was saying because he was speaking them facts, mate, and that's why.
See?
Because even they said to him, I watched the little clip of the thing that they said to Malcolm X here, and then the man said, "Oh, Malcolm X, what does X mean? That's not your real name, is it?" And he said, "Well, what does it matter if it's my real?" He said, "The name that I've been given anyway."
That wasn't
and
my
that's
real
not
name either.
Yeah. Then the man's going, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Oh."
Muhammad Ali.
The way he was speaking as well, like he's like, "I'm tired of explaining."
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
he was like, he said, "Listen, yeah," he said, "those names we have been given are
Given by the slave master,
yeah, the slave master.
owner.
That's it. They own them people, so they call them their family name.
Yeah.
Simple as that. That's why you get Jones and James and all
Yeah, they
them type
call
of
them-
last names.
Yeah,
that black
because
people
that's the
have.
name of where you were owned.
Yeah.
Chambers Plantation was the biggest plantation in Jamaica.
You see?
That's it.
Yeah, that's why.
No.
Because even there's other people called Chambers, but we know they're not.
So there's white people called Chambers. I went to school.
Yeah.
with these
Mm.
white people with the same surname.
Chambers, yeah. This
There's
is what I'm
there's
saying.
many who are related to us and many who are not. Because
Yeah,
it was a plantation name.
yeah.
That's all. Simple.
That's what I'm saying.
So then when you get all that, you've got a whacked out identity because of who are you.
Yeah.
Because
This is what I mean.
if you
And don't
if you
know
take
them,
it and you stop at Chambers, that doesn't tell me who I am.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't
You
tell
put
me-
it on the ancestry.com.
He's not going to tell me
It's not
nothing.
telling you jack.
Even the same thing with this, go and get your DNA. No,
It's
run
only
that.
telling
You
what's
swallow
the-
that and keep that for yourself. Because
Unless you know
that's all skewed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
it is.
even
You
when
may
they're
have
telling,
to
oh,
decipher the results.
your ancestry is something Africa. Africa what?
Yeah, where?
Because some of those people who you're saying were Africans, they weren't.
Mm.
They were put in Africa
Yeah.
from Europe
Yeah.
because they originated in Europe. You want people to think that every black man only originated in Africa.
Yeah.
Move on, go ahead. Because it's a
And,
lie.
and the
Spain,
thing is, right, they
first,
tell
and
you,
then
oh,
later to
yeah,
Jamaica.
you're all from Africa. Everybody black is from Africa. And the thing is, it's like, oh, you want us all to be from Africa and to go back to Africa, the place that you lot are draining off
Mm.
and
Mm.
drilling out. Yeah, why don't you go to your country then and drill
Yeah.
them off? If that's our country,
There
why
ain't
not
nothing
leaving
there,
it to
that's
us?
right.
Yeah, that's right. All there is there is potato. And that's the truth. I'm not even being funny.
But then also there's a certain percentage of white people who have to know the truth.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying about schooling. What is it
Yeah.
that we're being, because a lot of this has to do, school is about the identity
Yeah.
that you're gonna have.
Yeah.
Not maybe so much in the UK, but you see, like when you go to America, the first question that people ask you over there, what do you do? And what they're saying, what job do you have?
Yeah.
What, how do you make an income? It's all, that's how they identify
Yeah.
themselves. And so your schooling, whether that be academical, practical, or otherwise, it contributes towards that.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, and then look at how we are schooled, then who are we?
That's what
Because
I'm
we're
saying.
we're not supposed to have an identity then. You see?
But I think school also, I think it helps to perpetuate that not white supremacy, but you know what I mean.
White
Where
privilege.
this white privilege thing. I
Yeah.
think it helps them. It shapes the people
Yeah, it does.
subconsciously to think like that.
Yeah, it
Because
does.
when you're getting taught this is all there is about black people, they're slaves, and then there was
Yeah.
one good one. There was two other good black people,
But it's
Martin
also
Luther King and
the
Rosa
treatment
Parks, and
within-
everybody else was savages.
within the classroom. as
Yeah,
well.
that's what I'm saying
You
as
know,
well.
You're
You're
always
always
sitting there
getting
with
in
your white
trouble,
friend
you're
doing
always
exactly
getting
the same thing, and that don't happen to the white friend, but it's always you.
Yeah.
They still see that.
Mhm.
Whether they say something about it or not, they see it.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and then they subconsciously internalize
Yeah.
that black people are not the same as
Yeah.
white people, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even when we're in the same schools, even when we're going
Yeah,
to the same
they're
club.
treated differently.
Yeah,
they're
treated
favoured
so they must
differently.
be less.
And then maybe the only place where they might sometimes favour you, particularly like in school times, is in athletics,
Yeah,
sports,
music,
dance and music,
Yeah.
because those are the things that they want. You're
Yeah.
black, you should
Black people are
entertain
seen
us.
good at it. Yeah,
See?
entertain us.
Which is why, like in Black America, you've got hip hop,
Yeah.
which is a big thing, and they're okay with that because they only those who are not in the know, they don't know.
Yeah.
The white people control the hip hop industry anyway,
Yeah.
right?
This is the
Because
thing.
this is the reason why they sing so much nigger,
Yeah, and
bitch,
rubbish.
bitch, whore, and all of these
and all
things
these horrible
in their
things.
songs. This is the
And
reason
that's why
why,
they're all trash
right?
black people as
and
well.
then it's a lot of those guys who become, a certain level in rap, they're
yeah.
dumb,
Yeah, they are.
they're thick idiots, they're
And
thick,
the ones that are serious,
right?
or are even rapping serious,
They're not
writing
singing.
properly.
No,
They
right?
don't know them.
And
They
I
don't know.
can give you some names, but I can't be
Them
bothered.
conscious ones,
Let me
they
only
don't
give you
want
one name for people who don't know the music or they don't know. KRS-One. It's the only one name I'm giving you, right? One name only. In fact, let me give you two. Africa Bambata. Bam. I'm not argue no more. Those
That
two,
means he won't give you any more.
right? Go and look at their lyrics. You see. But now you got them now. All their bitch, whore, nigger, right? Or they're singing about people's underneath.
Yeah.
You understand, right? And they're happy for them to be singing all that rubbish, right? Because they're not bringing anything sensible to black people, but they want them to sing to us. Then you got black people looking at them. Oh, wow, these guys are making big money. So these are the ones who you're aspiring to be like. They're presented as your icons, or you've got witches like Beyonce.
Yeah.
You understand?
These are the
Who are
people
presented
that
as
have
your black icons.
That was watching something. Some girl was singing the song. Yeah, she was really, really good. And then afterwards, like in the audience, one of the girls was like, "Oh yeah, she's gonna be a diva up there with She said Beyonce." Now, first of all, the song that she sang was by Jennifer Hudson, so I don't know why she didn't say her name. But Beyonce's not even that great a singer. Sorry, yes, I said it.
Yeah,
No,
She's
she
not
isn't.
that great a singer.
She isn't.
Yeah, she's a good singer, but she's not
just-
the best.
she's just
and they
been-
try to make out.
She's
like
just been
she's the best.
commercialized because she's been packaged in a certain way,
Yeah.
and they are allowing people to think
Yeah.
this is the one.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. Same
That's the
thing.
same
You
with
see,
Rihanna.
you see these guys who become basketballers,
But
American footballers. Lots of them are into Illuminati, witchcraft, pedophilia, and all these other things, right? But these are the ones that are being held up.
Yeah.
On
As
the
the
limelight,
icons.
these are the
Some
icons.
Certain
They're
actors
doing the
who are pedophiles,
Yeah.
they're Satanists, they're
Yeah.
devil worshippers. They put them up as your icon. You follow these ones,
Yeah.
Right?
Oprah and Ellen.
and they don't want you to follow
Will
anybody.
Smith,
They want you to follow those ones. So you have people like Wilson. Their children don't know whether they're coming or going.
Yeah.
They don't know
Look
whether they're
how
male or
they have-
female.
look what
They're
they've
all
done
following
to
the
those children.
Baphomet agenda.
I feel sorry for them children.
Right?
Because they are so messed
But
up.
those are
It's
your
a joke.
icons.
It's a
And this
joke.
is, and now they're telling you that you want to aspire to be like them.
Yeah.
So which kind of training is that?
That's what
Now,
I'm saying.
if parents and grandparents are not at home saying to their children, their grandchildren, you see those people, don't follow them. They may be rich and they may seem that they're famous, but that fame comes at a price,
Yeah.
and it's the cost of your very soul.
Yes, you're very
The cost of your very
literally.
soul. No, we don't want
It's
that
not
one.
worth it. And this is the thing. And then there's people like, there was one man Some people might know him, called Black the Ripper, this black boy. Well, I don't know. I think he might have been. I don't know. I think he might have been a mixture of ethnicities. Anyway, he was predominantly black. So this guy, he was a rapper, but he was mainly because as Dad said, the people that are speaking facts or truth or knowledge, they shut them down. So you don't have no followers, you don't have no listeners, no one's hardly listening to your tunes. Yeah. So he did music, but it was more of a side thing because it wasn't that big. Yeah. His main thing was actually the promotion for legalizing and putting more research into marijuana. Yeah, and he used to go on the road with the marijuana plant like this under his shoulder and go to the pub and say, oh, and then the policemen are coming to him and saying, oh, what? Why have you got that? Why have you got that? And he said, no, it's just a plant. It grows in the grass. Yeah. What's the difference? Yeah, you lot don't all right with everyone smoking cigarette and drinking alcohol, which kills them off. Yeah, that's what he said. So he looked someone in the middle of Astor. Yeah, everywhere. And he did one video. He said, "Yeah, guys, look, see, I've come down here with my spliffs." He had like 2 of them. And he said, "And if I start smoking them now, I'm gonna get in trouble." He said, "But look at these people. They've come here after work for a pint, yeah, of intoxicating liquid, and it's all right and it's legal. But this that can heal and mend so many people in so many different ways, it's not legal." And do you know what's happened to him now? They've killed him. They've killed him. Yeah, he's dead. He got found dead in his house. Yeah, and there's no way he would have committed any type of suicide.
Of course,
this in their house business is always dodgy.
Of course it is. Yeah, you just get found dead in your house. But yeah, you got found dead in his house.
But you know,
and they don't even hardly say what happened.
No,
they don't know.
Of course they won't.
They killed him.
Of course they won't. They finished him off.
Yeah, because he was getting too many followers, getting too much attention. Getting too much of a following and influencing people. Yeah, and
not
giving
on
them
their
the
agenda.
truth. Yeah, and they didn't want that. And there's so many.
And he's not
even
the first
in America. No, because even there's other ones that were trying to tell them the truth. Like there's Juice WRLD, that XXXX Temptation or whatever his name is. He was another one that was trying to tell people the truth. Once again, he got killed. Juice WRLD killed. Many people, they just kill them off and they don't care. Yeah, and these are the only ones that are
lobotomized.
Exactly.
So
Look
then
at Kanye West.
they
They become correct. You know what I mean?
Oh
Because
well,
of course they're
bipolar
not mentally well. Of course he's bloody bipolar. If
you're
your
squeezed
brain,
out his brains,
that's what I'm
haven't
saying.
you?
If your brain is getting buzzed out, you're getting mashed up.
Yeah.
There you see, Israel. See, he knows. As
of
soon
course
as
they
he
got him.
knew. Because your brain is getting squeezed out, electrified, and you're getting tortured. Of course, your brain is not going to be. Your mind is not going to be sound. You're not going to be normal.
And you see,
know what I mean?
this is the thing, because at the end of the day, you see, like when we come and we do these lives each week, there'll be some people like, oh, here they go again. You know,
keep scrolling.
You know, why are they talking about that? Why are they going on about that? Because we can.
Because it's relevant.
Right? And those who want to listen, listen. If you don't want to listen, air me.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered.
Keep
You know,
scrolling,
just
Not
go
gonna
where you're
stop
going.
from talking.
Because at the end of the day, I have always, you know, and Angelica is my first child, and she can tell you, I've not been any different from then. And I was young when she was born. From that time, as soon as I've had a child and I've been able to communicate with my children, I've made sure they know who they are completely. And anytime the school tells them anything different, I tell them, one that. I tell them straight, the school is chatting rubbish.
Yeah.
They don't know. And I will sit down and I will make sure that they feel powerful and they know who they are.
Because I remember when I came, remember when we watched, what is it called, them slavery films, and we watched them because they were showing us something at school, some roots or something rubbish like that. And then Dad said, no, me neither, we only watched like an hour clip or something. And then Dad said, nah. He said, nah. He said, I'm not letting them.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, and from then, Dad said, "Nah, they're not going to be the ones to teach you the narrative of their version of slavery, because Roots, yeah, it's people think, oh, Roots is hardcore. No, it's not.
No.
That's the thing. And Dad said, I'm going to show you the true ones. Yeah? And then he showed us the film. And it was horrible. But it also made me understand.
Welcome to Uncle Tom?
Yeah. That one. Yeah. And yeah, it was sad. But it
I'm
made
not even
me
advertising
understand.
it.
No, it's
Allow
not something that you want
It's
to watch,
awful.
honestly. Because it was a horrible film. But it did make me see the reality of slavery.
And
not
not
just
just
the
that
little-
Bruce is bad wouldn't be able to manage it.
They wouldn't, because even all that rubbish, 12 years a slave, what rubbish was that? What did we even,
I fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie, I fell
boring.
asleep. It
was
dry.
rubbish.
It was dry.
Yeah, and that's what that girl, and see, once again, another little person who's being used as a token, Lupita, yeah, I don't care if people want to love her or
She's been a token
I'm
from day
not
one.
interested in her, because you chose to have that role in that film. Yeah,
Mm.
bearing in mind the person who was her co-star in Black Panther, he also got asked to do a slavery film. Do you see any slavery film?
No.
Yeah, that's what. Why are you doing a slavery film? And and she was one of the main characters in that 12 Years a Slave. That's when she got big from that film.
From that film.
Yeah, and what happened in that film? She was raped by the man on the camera. Yeah, on the film, and then lashed out and all these things. Yeah, this is what you're allowing yourself to be subjected to, just to then become a bigger famous person and get more acting and etc.
But that was her initiation into the
Yeah,
thing.
of course,
So,
that's what I'm saying. That was her initiation. And this is what people need to realize. All them types of films where there's people like, it is their initiation into certain things. And that's why they choose these horrible roles or enjoy these horrible things, because they want to be famous and even the people that everyone's looking up to.
And they're not showing you the truth anyway.
No, they're not showing you the truth. They're not. That's the thing.
And that's the reason why, I spent my time to be telling you guys the truth.
Exactly.
And making sure that you could see it, read it, and understand it.
Yeah.
What's the verse?
12 years, just as bad as them trying to concern.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well,
Why was it even called that? 12 years a slave, like, slavery only lasted 12 years, and then it got softer, or what are they trying to say?
Really?
I don't know, because then people are still chatting about, I'll get over it, and I don't know what there is to get over when it ain't done yet.
But this is what I mean, that's the thing.
But you see that because they're only looking at the element of it in terms of time scale.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the psychological,
Yeah.
the emotional,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual,
yeah, that's what I'm about.
and all of those things which are now written in your DNA.
Yeah.
And they're not only written in the DNA of black people, they're also written in the DNA of white people.
Yes, they are.
Because it's the reason why some white people behave the way they do. Because in their mindset, they automatically think that they're superior.
Yeah. Because that's what have they been.
And then they meet somebody like me who's not having it, and they're shocked.
Yeah, and it's shaking.
They're like, no.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to manage.
Because they want to speak to you anyhow.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
they expect
you're black.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna speak to you anyhow because you're lower than me.
Yeah.
And when you're like, hey, they're like, oh.
Yeah. Then they're looking.
And all you're doing is say, no, straighten up yourself, man, because you can't do that. And I'm not accepting it, and don't try me. And they're like, oh,
yeah, sure.
aggressive.
Yeah.
No.
Or then they
But
try
no.
to tell you that you're getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Because then if
No,
you
I
have a
didn't
problem
mean it
with the
like
way
that.
They speak to you or something like, don't speak to me like that. I'm not a fool.
But you
Then
see,
it's,
but this is what I'm saying.
What I meant.
So that's what you said.
And that's the issue then of what's going on, because
In the day to day.
they're going on with certain things in the family, in the house. What's going on at home? There's certain discussions and so on. Now, then, if that alone, was not enough of the issue, when they now go to school, those who are, school age, so to speak,
Yeah.
they're looking and they're seeing there's a certain behaviour, there's a certain treatment,
This is
certain
normal.
attitude in
Yeah.
school, like, oh yes,
So this is how
so
you
this is
treat-
how it is.
Yeah.
This is how you treat them, and this is how we look at them, and this is what we think of them.
Yeah.
And it continues.
Yeah.
You see?
Exactly.
And it continues. So now those parents who decide, oh, I don't have to say anything, let my kids just go to school and come out. It's not going to work. You are the ones. You have to monitor what's going on.
Yeah.
What's going on in school? How was your day? What happened,
Yeah.
etc. When the school say certain things, even what they write in their reports, challenge it.
Yeah.
Why did you write
Why
that?
did you write
What
that?
do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've also got to affirm your children
Yeah.
and your grandchildren and let them feel like they're somebody,
Yeah.
and let them feel like they're not a failure and that their people were not a failure, because that's all you're told, slavery. So then that means you're a failure. You couldn't, or if they go a little bit deeper with the slavery, yeah, you were sold into slavery by the Dahomey.
Yeah.
You see, backstabbers. They sold you.
Yeah, because that's what it
And
always
that's
is
what it
now.
boils
That's
down,
the main thing. Even still now, till today, we're not even about slavery. You see, with these gangs, all you lot are doing is just killing each
You're
other.
killing
You don't
each
even
other.
care about each other, so why should we care about it? That's what I saw on one comment. Why you lot don't even care about yourselves, so why should we as white people care about you? That's what somebody wrote on a comment on Facebook, and I just thought, you know what? I'm not even gonna give them a response, because if I do, it's gonna get wild. Yeah, so I thought, let me just leave them, because those types of people, you can't even hardly argue with them anyway, because they're in their mindset,
so brainwashed.
and that's it. Yeah.
But you see, also it's to do with interventions. How
Yeah.
come? Glasgow was the knife crime capital of the UK, and there's no
black people.
and there's no this, there's
Listen,
no
when
if
it's up
and
to
or
Scotland,
but about
there's
it.
no one black.
You don't see too many black people in
There might be a
Scotland,
few,
full
that's why
stop,
not in Glasgow.
right? And it was the knife crime capital of the UK. Now, they did certain interventions and they've begun to turn that around. But what I will tell you, and I'm not going to give you the information, if you're interested, go and look for yourself, because I don't even want it. It's a totally different subject by itself. But those interventions were not the same as the style of what they were doing in London to black people.
Yeah.
Then talking about black on black crime. That knife crime situation in Scotland, in Glasgow, UK capital of knife crime. Why did they not call it white on white crime?
Yeah.
They didn't.
Why
But the
is it
one in
never-
London is black on black crime.
Yeah. You see the rubbish.
You see? And now this is the problem, because when then we don't educate ourselves and then educate our children, our grandchildren and our communities, we don't know how to address these things.
Yeah.
We don't know what kind of interventions will help. So then it's negative training that we're receiving instead.
Yeah.
And we're not even going to be on it too long, because it's a subject that if I talk for too long and keep going, my head will
it
get hot.
starts to get
know,
serious, isn't it?
And plus, it's something that I wanted to highlight to people. However they take it, that's their business.
Yeah.
If a lot of people even today are saying, air that, this one is rubbish, we're not interested. That's your business. Because you don't have to be interested, but your children are going to be interested. Your grandchildren and their generations after are going to be interested. Because if it's not addressed for you who look like me, and you come from here, it's going to get worse. Right? You fool yourself about, it's getting better, because
it's not.
there's more equal opportunities in the football.
That don't mean nothing, because
There's
listen,
nothing of so.
all equal opportunity means is that you can apply for the job as well.
Yeah.
But when they see your name and it's not looking English or white,
They're not.
it's
They're
flinging
not.
up.
Then they're going to dash that in the bin.
Yeah.
Or
They'll
when
go
they-
as far as give you the interview.
And when they see
then when
you,
they see you, it's like,
Yeah.
we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you even notice when you come to the interview,
Yeah.
they're stiff up and all this rubbish.
Oh my
Because
god. The amount
they
of times
don't
I've
think
gone
that
through
you're
that
black.
scenario.
Everybody, I don't know if it's my voice or what, when I'm on the phone or something, but
Up here
I
it
feel
will
like
be.
everybody's shocked when they're seeing me and I'm not
and
white.
you're not white.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I-
think it's not because
I've been through the same
I don't
thing.
know Tamar.
I don't think it's the name. I think it's because we speak properly.
We speak properly,
Yeah.
so they're surprised.
Yeah.
And I've had that all the time.
Oh,
And me, John Chambers, a very English
Yeah,
white
very
man.
English
a
white man
man.
name,
Oh, You're John Chambers. Yeah. I am."
Yeah, there's no say.
You know. Now here's the thing that like I said, we're not, you know, we're probably not going to go more than about an hour and a half with this, because first of all, I'm not really trying to tell people how they should think. We just come and we talk amongst ourselves and we speak reality.
Yeah, reality.
You know, go and check it out. We're not saying anything that isn't true.
Yeah.
But you know, the issue is this, that when it comes to, you know, even when you look and they say that, oh, we're trying to improve all of these things, and you know, we've got this going on, this Black Lives Matter and all of this. Listen to this. There used to be more things available for our community. There used to be more things going on than what there are now.
Yeah.
There used to be more things available for young people, full stop, whether they're black, white, orange, pink or blue. Now there's less.
Yeah.
So when you leave young people with nothing and you leave them on the road, well then what do you expect?
Exactly.
Right? You're not catering for them in school. You kick them out when they're too difficult, and that's whatever colour they are.
Yeah.
Because then, oh well, they're from a deprived area.
Yeah, because then, and if they're white, then it's because they're poor, and that must be why they're.
See?
You know what I mean?
So
got
even
an issue.
those ones get kicked out.
Yeah.
You see? And no, there's no home training. Home training alone is not the issue, because even the ones who are at home, things might be different at home, but then when they go back to school, the school is already, oh, well, we know where you come from, so we know how you're going to behave.
Yeah.
What can you say about that?
That's exactly it.
You see? And like I said, I'm pushing some certain things that I'm saying because this is our Black History Month. But my next week topic is Bun Black History Month.
Yeah.
Bun, as in B-U-N, Bun. Bun Black History Month. What is that?
Yeah.
Right? And we will talk about that in detail.
Yeah.
Right? Because you think that you can relegate the whole of my history to 1 month.
Yeah.
And the majority of that history until today is still about slavery,
Yeah.
and also any other person that is mentioned in that history. It's you know, coconuts.
Yeah.
Or people who they've manipulated. They'll bring certain people through. It's like when people say, I like reggae, and they mention only Bob Marley.
Yeah.
What? The ones what say you before you was.
Oh, I don't,
Don't converse with me about music if you believe that you believe reggae.
from they say UB40, I stop talking and just say, okay, and I just change the subject or I move away. I'm not even going there. But when they, oh yeah, I love reggae, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
And
And they
what
don't
else?
know anybody else.
And you know,
That's still him. He was kill off as well.
oh
Yes.
yeah, and let me just educate you a little bit, because this is what I'm saying, that you know, education is coming from where? Because in the school book you'll get Bob Marley as a representative of reggae. Let me give you this for those who didn't know. Musicians, some of you will already have known this. Did you know that when they were making Bob Marley's albums, there were many of his tunes where there's two versions. Yeah, some of them are at even different speeds.
Yeah.
And one of the main things about them, the two different versions, they used white musicians. They used a white keyboard player, country and western organ player. And you can, and again, if you search hard enough, you can find the evidence of what I'm saying. I'm not lying. And Bob Marley was going crazy there, saying, "Nah, I'm not. I can't. I don't want to tell you word for word. You know what I mean? What he said." He said, "No, because it's like you can't feel this,
Yeah.
right? You're not even playing what I'm playing." And he had to try to school. But now, what they were then trying to do was to school him to come closer to what those white guys were playing,
Yeah.
because what they wanted was to make the sound more amenable, you know, for a bigger, wider audience, because they wanted him to be more like a rock. And if you listen to some of Bob Marley's tunes, they are more rock style,
Yeah.
right? And because they wanted him as a rock star, that's how they were portraying him. It's all contrived.
Yeah.
So yes, when they say, oh yeah, Bob Marley was a reggae superstar, yes, he was contrived as a reggae superstar. And you know, I could say more about that, but we'll talk about that maybe next week in
Yeah.
one Black History Month.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Right? Because no,
It's not my.
you think
That's why
I don't. I'm
Happy Black History.
no. I don't have nothing to
You'll
say
never
about
see
that.
me write that.
I will never write
And
that
I've been
because
saying that from a
No.
long time. But I'm not interested in Black History Month. It's foolish.
And which- and
why
which-
is it only 1 month?
which Black history?
Yeah.
Because why Black
There's a
history?
lot of Black history and they haven't taught us none of it.
Why is it not world history?
Yeah. And
Right?
this is the thing, that's what I said. How come we must learn about the white people 11 months a year and only one month a year I must learn your fake
Black
Twisted.
history.
and stupid history?
As if our
Yeah,
history is-
doctored history.
Because our history is very different, isn't it?
Yeah,
And because
because then people start to know their truth and their identity and their strength.
and it can only fit in 1 month.
Yeah,
No,
that's
no.
the thing. How come it's all our whole history from the beginning of time until now must only fit in 1 month?
1 month, you know.
What rubbish. Even if you do slavery, it cannot do 1 month.
No.
There's more time that needs to be told.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
rubbish.
Exactly. So, in conclusion, if you like, to round this off,
Yeah.
not that there is even any rounding off in that sense, but
Yeah,
because you can,
it's
there's
still
plenty that could be
plenty
said.
more that could be. Yeah, you could.
You see, when you ask that question, who should train my children, home versus school? It is literally home versus school.
Yeah.
This is where I see because again, 3 generations in terms of schooling anyway,
Yeah,
and Alexis would make the 4th,
yeah.
and I don't see much difference. Right. I don't see even by now my granddaughter
Yeah.
in school.
Because the things she's telling us.
Yeah.
I don't see where
Rubbish.
the schooling is positive for her.
No.
It's something
It's
that
already
that,
becoming
that
negative.
that she has to get through.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. And parents, please wake up to understand this, especially and particularly Black parents. Wake up to this, that school for your Black child vastly is just an endurance.
Yeah.
They're
Indoctrination.
an indoctrination if they fall under it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it is literally an endurance because even the school themselves know we're just enduring this child
Yeah.
because we're not breaking them.
Yeah.
And they don't want you. If they're not breaking you, they don't want you. You see? So you don't fall under their terms of engagement.
Yeah.
It's an endurance for you.
Yeah.
You see?
Because every week you're battling.
You're fighting against the system continuously, and the one thing that I would urge parents, teach your children how to navigate the
Yeah.
system effectively,
Yeah.
because it begins in school, and if they're successful in school, they will have squeezed you into a zone.
Yeah.
The zone is either compliance or imprisonment,
Yeah.
and they start the imprisonment in school.
Mhm.
So it's compliance or imprisonment, or you fight and learn to navigate the system and get your way
Because
through.
that's why it's all isolation. They're getting used to that. If you don't comply and run by the rules of society or school, which is the fake society that you get put into for a period of time.
That's
That's
right.
exactly what it is.
Because when
None
you're
of those
exactly
things that they reprimand you for, they're not real life
No,
things.
they're not.
No.
Because they want you to. What they want
It's
you
all
to be
about
is turned
compliance.
into a clone of everybody else. So then you're never late to work, and if you are late to work, even then you can't give a good enough excuse because that's the same thing as school. If you're sick, you must then get a note, even if there's no one to get you a note, because then it's a problem and you're probably lying, which was the same thing at school. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and all
They're just getting you ready.
that's
for it.
right. And again, a so-called colorblind society,
Yeah.
because
There's
they're
no
coming.
racism
There's no
anymore.
racism anymore,
What
and
are you
all this
talking
other thing.
about?
What there is, and they're coming only from one perspective. So they teach you from the days of school you integrate in school, but you must be able and you must accept like kids.
Yeah.
So, for instance, even school dinners is only skewed and steered towards one.
English.
So never mind if there's black, and then when what happens? Then when you go to a school or an area maybe where it's more dominated by Asians and blacks, and so they try to change the diet, then there's a complaint. Oh, why have they put halal? Well, okay, why have they put halal? Why have they put Englishman food?
Yeah.
Because halal don't mean nothing to me.
Nothing.
I teach my children, bless your food and in Jesus' name and eat the food. So halal doesn't affect us because we can still eat our food. Now when they're in a school where you're eating, I don't even know, some of this something bubble and squeak,
Yeah.
and every day is
Horrible pies.
chips and mashed potato, pies and peas.
And then even when
And
it wasn't even curry. And then
Curry-
the rice
curry-
was
Former is not a curry.
the rice
Curry
was
with
like,
raisins in
raindrops. That's how hard it was.
Right.
That's what we used to say. The pitter patter.
Bullet rice,
Yeah, because it'd be there
you know.
on the plate.
So then you know why then many of your children they don't want this school dinner because again it's like you have no identity. You're not there.
Yeah, that food ain't for you.
It's not for you.
We made complaints because some people even say,
I remember it.
She's laughing at bubble and
yeah,
squeak.
some
I don't
people
know
were
if you remember
complaining
that,
about
but it was in
the
primary school and I got sent home because I dashed the potato back into the kitchen.
I don't remember. Mine's
It
primary
was mashed
school was
potato and it
even
had
worse.
these lumps in it and like these dark bits and I was like,
Ah,
I dashed it back through the little hatch thing and I got sent home.
Of course.
yeah.
The thing I remember at school, because our school, remember, because when Zakai came to my school, that's when suddenly more black people would come. Remember,
Yeah,
then
that's
suddenly in Zakai's years,
Yeah, there was quite a lot of them in his
Yeah,
year.
quite a lot, right? And then that's when then they decided, oh, they're going to change up the dinners. a bit.
Diversify.
Yeah,
the food.
diversify the food a little bit. So then there was a bit more, flavor differences. So like with the wraps, you could get different flavors. Some you could get spicy and all this rubbish. And then they
Maple spicy.
yeah, it was all right because we got a new chef as well. So it was all right. Sometimes it was actually quite spicy. We had this chef guy who never used to cook, but he was nice. Like he always used to serve you nice food. When he was cooking, it was good. And then yeah, we usually had what do you call it on Friday? Fish and chips. Yeah. But then once a month, I think it was once a term, it would not be fish, it would be chicken. So then you'd get fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
Yeah, and you'd be able to eat the fried chicken with the whatever chips, and then they had like another little side of it as well. But that didn't come till I was in like year 10 or something. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Before that, fish every week.
Because they're catering only to the Englishman style,
exactly.
and the rest of you don't exist.
Yeah,
in
you
school.
don't exist. Until you're nearly filling up the place, you don't exist.
Mhm.
Because other schools, I'm hearing what my other friends are eating at their school. They're eating curry chicken and rice and peas and dumpling and everything because they've got black dinner ladies.
Yeah, and
stuff.
And even hospitals and all that is the same story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
my
because you
gosh.
get different menus, don't you?
Oh yeah.
The rub,
No, but you,
But
you have
even-
to request it.
but
though.
even
Yeah.
the
They're not
so-called,
offering you
even the
Caribbean
so-called,
menu.
no.
No,
The normal menu doesn't have those things.
No,
they have
it
to
doesn't.
request
you have to
things.
request it
specially.
and
And
they
they
have to
are
run them down for
Right?
it.
Yeah, you have to run them down for it because even when I was in hospital, you remember,
Yes, I remember.
and it was a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, oh,
They
we
wasn't
don't
listening.
we don't know where that
Yeah.
menu is. I'm like, well, you better
Oh,
find it.
we forgot, and they're still
That's
bringing you
why
the
they
little
have to
dry
be
meal.
bringing Dad his food for us.
Yeah.
Because boy, the things
And then
that
they
were
started
trying to
telling you
bring.
you can't bring things in.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving him the proper menu, then he needs to eat.
This is
So
what I mean.
Yeah.
This is the rubbish
Yeah.
that they used to do because we used to have to go to Dutch spot to get Dad's dinner and all these type of things.
Exactly.
you know why? Because everyone else on the ward was smelling it.
And they were jealous. They were
They
getting
were jealous.
complaining
Yeah,
because I'm eating food with a bit of seasoning.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. Oh, you can only get them unless you're screaming to them that
Yeah,
you will
you
not
do.
eat that English food. That's the food
You
you're
have to
getting.
be getting wild.
And the fact is, it wasn't even cooked nicely because nicely cooked English food is not terrible. Yeah, sometimes it actually can be nice and flavoursome.
Them
And,
hospital
and
meals
do you know what I
are
mean?
just
It's
not
nice. Hospital
That's
now.
They're not cutting it.
So that's what we have to say.
Yeah.
This is where we're finishing.
Yeah, might as well.
You know, we'll be chatting about the food too much now,
Because we're hungry now.
obviously. So next week, I will put it up soon anyway, but I will just tell you from now, whoever will watch
Yeah.
Bun
Black
History
History
Month.
Yeah.
What is that?
And I'm alright with that.
Alright? So anybody who wants to come and join that one, praise the Lord.
Please come along.
Yes.
Bye.
What's happening?
The Facebook is on. This one take